Go ahead.
Today we're going to talk about the producer, Harvey Weinstein. I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, he was arrested in New York and they let him out in handcuffs plus a $1 million cashier's check bond. So, and they said that he could only go between Connecticut and New York. He couldn't leave the country and things like that. I don't know. I think they probably took his passport away too. But so he's limited to where he's a ban on traveling beyond New York and Connecticut. And he left the courthouse in handcuffs with his lawyer. Supposedly, as you know, this has been going on for months. There are a lot of charges outstanding against him. He's 66 years old. He's a big producer in Hollywood. And a lot of these young girls, and you know and I know, especially if they want to move up the ladder and not go back home to these small places where they came from, they'll talk and talk, and I guess they'll do whatever they have to do to try to get apart. And supposedly he had a lot of one-night affairs with these girls, either different places around the world, and one says that he had her give him sex in his office. She's one of the two that filed this complaint, and another one has him up for rape. But I think it was in 2013. She has never shown her face yet, so we don't know who she is. And she says that Weinstein confined her in a Manhattan hotel room and raped her in 2013. So that was about 5 years ago. But we don't know who she is. She hasn't been identified, but naturally, when it comes to the trial or the preliminary to the trial, I would think she's going to come forward, because if I rape somebody, I sure as hell want to see them or see what they look like and how it happened and all that. But it seemed to be in a real small place, this Manhattan hotel room, and supposedly when he run into these girls, it was in hotel rooms and places like that. But then also he has some charges outside the country too. You know, when he traveled, because in making the films that he made, and he was one of the biggest in Hollywood, he traveled around the world very quickly, and naturally girls around the world, they all wanted parts. So they would do supposedly what he wanted them to do, naturally. But having force involved is one thing. Going out on a date with him is another thing. Like rape is one charge, and then just a sexual charge, talking, that's another thing, but it's not like rape. So I don't know if he's going to get out of this or what, but he does have that $1 million cash bond up. If I had the million, I don't think I'd put that up in a cashier's check, because if he gets a notion, and like this girl that we don't know who she is, all of a sudden she shows up and has some long story about the rape from 2013, that he did this and that. I mean, it would be very easy for him to take off. And then if he takes off, who wrote that $1 million check? The court could cash that cashier's check, or they could call you in if you're the bondsman and say, you bring $1 million to us by 2 o'clock. And they could call you at 8 in the morning and you better be there with the money. Or they can start arresting some other people. I'm assuming he's gone. And maybe he is gone. I don't know what'll happen because we don't know why this girl hasn't appeared. And you know, it could be something real simple or it could be worse than what we think it is. And if it's really bad, then he's going to be thinking. You know, I'm not saying he's going to leave the country and he's going to take off because he is a big producer. His company, I think, did file bankruptcy lately. They were trying to sell, but they couldn't get a buyer. But and I think he has a brother that works in that company with him. But I don't know what'll happen, but I know that this is going to be in the news constantly. And the other thing too that comes, like this one girl, the charge in this thing is 2004, and you would think maybe said he had a daytime meeting. She gave oral sex in his office, a daytime meeting in 2004, and actually that could be his word against hers. And then, you know, is there a statute of limitations on this? How long would that be? It's already been 14 years. You know, I mean, so if you have sex with somebody, do you have to wait? Well, that girl said she went out with Trump. That was in 07, I think. So that was 11 years. But this right here is 14 years. And now this girl came forward, this Lucia Evans, says she was a then aspiring actress who has said that he forced her to perform oral sex during a daytime meeting in his office in 2004. You know, you wonder, I'm not saying it's not true and all that, but if she was yelling, screaming, there are other people in the office, I assume there are a lot of, assuming he's in a big office, people all over the place. So if there was a lot of force involved, things like that, and she's yelling, screaming, you think somebody would have heard about it. She was the first woman to come forward, which was in the last few years, but that happened back in 2004. And they say that there could be 60 or 70 people involved in this that come forward with accusations. But I'd say it's going to be interesting. It's been going on now for months and months, but this is the first district attorney that arrested him, and he came out of the courtroom with handcuffs with his lawyers, and that was after he put up the $1 million, or somebody put up $1 million cash bond. Thank you.